Hello everyone, welcome to GR IAS Academy's CSE Prelims News Analysis. So we have already uploaded editorial analysis from the Hindu dated 19th October. So here in this video we are discussing prelims news article, all the news articles that are related to UPSC CSE Prelims. So these are our articles for discussion today. My name is Harish Amiti. So let us begin. Our first news article, very interesting article, Referendum on Australian Aborigines. So see the title again, Referendum on Australian Aborigines. So who are these Aborigines? Who are the original inhabitants of Australia? So see the map. So this is the country of Australia. Here the island of Tasmania, which is a part of Australia. Here there is something called Torres Strait. So geography wise I am saying you world geography, because this is in news. Australia in news. You are supposed to know the Australia geography also. So here is something called Torres Strait, Torres, Torres Straits. This is Australia, Tasmania. Now there are people, there were some tribes who are inhabiting Australia from so many years, almost 60,000 years. These are called Australian Aborigines. They are the original inhabitants of Australia. Then something happened in 1788. Same like European colonies try to rule over India. Here European powers came to Australia, but understand that in India there was already so much population and there was established kingdom. So they have to conquest India. There are so many kingdoms, Marathas, Mysore, Hyderabad, Bengal, etc. So there are so many kingdoms and Mughals. So British had to conquer one by one. In Australia, especially British, Australia was also taken over by British, not other European powers. They have visited it, but ultimately British have took over it. So when British visited Australia in 1788, they don't have to conquer over anyone. Australia was not being ruled by any king. Here and there are some tribes randomly distributed. So it is a very scarcely populated country. So from 1788, Australians started settling. No need to conquest, you can directly settle. There is lot of space. Only you have to deal with this tribes here and there. So Britishers, when they started settling, they have used some unethical methods, spreading diseases and taking these children of these aborigines forcefully and trying to convert them as whites for future generations, etc., to mixed races, etc. So ultimately, who are the original inhabitants of Australia got reduced to 3.3% of Australian population. So there was a time before 1788, only these tribes are inhabiting Australia, but now they have become a minority in their own land. They are mere 3.3%. So all the white people who are the successive people of the Europeans became the majority. So now when people think of Australia, they imagine it as a western white country, but originally it was not. So that was the history. So you can link whatever I told you to the world history part till now. So world history GS1 for mains. But this issue is also important for UPSC prelims also. So this was the situation. So because of this historical oppression against the Australian Aborigines, see, Australian Aborigine population reduced by 90% from 1788 to 1900 because of Britishers' policies of continuous elimination of Aborigines. So they become very vulnerable and they are not able to adapt to the modern times properly because of the policies, oppressive policies, and crime, suicide rates were very high among the Aborigines. Prisoners are mostly, I mean, Aborigine people are significantly, disproportionately represented in the prisoners. So there were so many issues being faced by these Aborigines. So now there was a referendum. The current government of Australia decided to conduct a referendum to give a voice to these Aborigine people so that they can get their due representation. So what is this referendum? They have asked all the Australian voters, should we make some special provisions in the Australian constitution for these Aborigines, recognizing them as the original inhabitants and increase their rights. So to give some additional rights to nullify the inherent disadvantage to the Australian Aborigines, Australia wanted to implement a referendum. That means they are asking the opinion of the people, votes of the people. In Australia, unlike in India, voting is mandatory. So this part is also important to the GS2 of the our GS paper, GS2 paper. There is a syllabus line saying that comparison of Indian constitutional schema with that of other countries. So there might be a question in next year mains asking for comparison between India and Australian constitution. Last year they have asked in 2022 UPSC has asked a comparison between Indian constitution and France constitution. Why it has asked? Because there were elections, president elections in France and also India. So Indian president got elected last year, same France president also got elected, both were in current affairs. So they have asked a comparison between Indian constitution and French constitution. Now Australian constitution is in current affairs. So even though this is a prelims video, I suggest you to just do that comparison between Indian constitution and Australian constitution when you read Lakshmikant polity. So this is it. They have conducted a referendum. Every Australian voter, it is mandatory for him to vote in it. So unfortunately, the referendum was rejected by the majority. 60% people voted no. Please treat aborigines as equal as whites. Do not give them special provisions. No affirmative action, no special voice. So most people rejected. Issue got communalized. In India, it was religious communalism. In Australia, it was somewhat racial communalism. So you can say that this is an unfortunate incident, a setback for rights of aborigine. So focus on Australian geography. We have linked it to geography, world history, GS2 polity. So that is with our first news. Next, our second news, PMLA. So first, you should know about what is money laundering. Then you can understand the whole news. So first, let me explain what is money laundering. What is money laundering? Money laundering, simply put, conversion of black money into white money. So what is black money first of all? Any money obtained illegally is called black money. You are not supposed to obtain that money, it is called black money. If a government officer takes a bribe, he is not supposed to take that legally. So it is an illegally obtained money, it is called black money. He cannot show it in his accounts to income tax department. Every officer is supposed to show his income to income tax department every year so that he can be taxed properly. But when someone obtains some money illegally, they cannot show it. So they have to hide it from the system. It is called black money. They have to hide it. It is not visible. It is black. And another example, somebody steals some money. Somebody steals from a bank. Somebody does a bank robbery. It is a huge amount, but they cannot again show it to somewhere. So it is also black money. So there are many ways through which a person can obtain money illegally in the system. It is called black money. But forever he cannot maintain the huge amount of black money. So some people want to try to convert into white money. So through some methods they have to convert it to white money. So the methods they use for this conversion is called money laundering. So how they do it? First they will this is the collection of dirty money, that means obtaining black money through illegal methods. Then they will place. So they will dare and they will put it into the formal financial system. They will put into a bank account or they will transfer to someone, they will buy some house or something. So immediately they will convert into white in the first stance, placement. But the moment they have converted into white, the information is in the public domain before every authority. So any authority, any public authority, income tax or someone can track it. So now they cannot keep it directly. So they have to change it into some other form so that other authorities are not able to track it. So first stage is called placement. They have placed it into the financial system. Next, second stage is layering. Layering means adding so many layers to the original transaction so that it is very difficult for the authorities to track it. If it is a straightforward simple transaction, you have given money to him, so you will be arrested. No, they will do multiple transactions, layer one transaction with another, one transaction with another. So second stage is called layering. They keep on transacting till it is very difficult to track it. It may even go out of the country so that it is very difficult to track. Usually it goes out of the country and then they will purchase luxury and financial assets. So then ultimately when it is difficult to track, they will invest in something that is very difficult for the authorities to take back. Okay, so very high luxury assets, investments, etc. So if some person obtains illegal money and sends it to some other person, and that person A sends it to person B sends it to person C, and person C goes outside of India, and then he gives it to a foreigner, and that foreigner invests through a company, let's say in Mauritius, and through that company again he will invest in India. He will, that person, final person, that foreigner will open a company in Mauritius, and then he will invest in India in the name of that shell company which is in Mauritius. So ultimately this person successfully converted that money into white, and he got the money back. He got the money back. He says, now I got this money as an investment from a foreign film. So he is able to successfully convert black money into white money and get the money in his own hands without any penalty. So such kind of transactions will be uh, tracked by the authorities, and Enforcement Directorate in India is responsible for this. And now which law deals with this? There is a law called PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So this PMLA Act, it was made in 2002. 2002 PMLA. So this act gives power to the Enforcement Directorate, ED. This is an agency, Enforcement Directorate, statutory agency under formed under FCRA, Foreign Currency Regulation Act, FCRA, Foreign Currency Regulation Act. Under this act, ED is formed as a statutory body. Now it is already existing by the time this act was made. Along with that, in this act, ED was given additional powers to enforce this PMLA Act, so that to prevent money laundering. So if anybody resorts to money laundering, ED looks into it. If they were proved to be resorted to money laundering, ED will take that assets and tries to bring that money back. So this is the brief about money laundering. Now in 2022, to the original PMLA Act, government has made some amendments. So this PMLA Act was amended in 2022 last year, and some people went to court, argued that these amendments were not constitutional. They are against the constitution. Last year this has happened, but court last year supported the government, saying no, these amendments are perfectly valid, they are in tune with the constitution. Still some petitioners are not satisfied with the judgment given by the ordinary bench of the Supreme Court. Last year the judgment was given by an ordinary bench of the Supreme Court. These people are saying no, still it is against the constitution. So now Supreme Court is saying, if you have that much doubt, if you think it is such a constitutional issue, such an issue of constitutional importance, we can form a constitutional bench. I hope you know what is a constitutional bench. Constitutional bench is formed under Article 145(3), rules of the court. Under Article 145(3), Supreme Court can form a special bench called constitutional bench if a matter is very important and it is linked to the constitution. If a question which is of high constitutional importance, Supreme Court can form something called constitutional bench, which will have at least 5 members. If you have seen yesterday editorial video of ours, I have told in that video what is a constitutional bench, and this constitutional bench gave a judgment on same-sex marriages in yesterday's video. Please do watch it. So such kind of constitutionally important questions are decided by constitutional bench. So Supreme Court is saying to the petitioners who are not satisfied with these amendments, if you still think they are against the constitution, we will form a constitutional bench. So the news is not important. I have explained everything so that you can understand the news. I hope you have understood what is money laundering and the legal provisions against the money laundering, criminalizing money laundering, and the agency that tracks it, and what is the present news. Next article, increase in age of marriage. So this topic is actually very in-depth. You have to cover it for mains also. It will keep coming in news, so we will discuss as it comes in news regularly. So today we will limit to the whatever in the news. First let me tell you the law which deals with the age of marriage. In India there is an act called Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. This act says anyone less than 18 years cannot be married. A marriage can be done only to an adult who is above 18 years. So there are many laws, POCSO, Prevention of Children from Sexual Offences, Juvenile Justice Act, etc. There are many acts which decide child as below 18 years. So all of these laws in India say that one is a child if he is below 18 years, one is adult if he is above 18 years. So child, adult. So above 18 years is adult. So till now, this Prohibition of Child Marriage Act says, if one is above 18 years, they can legally marry. So nothing is problem. Below 18 years, marriage is called child marriage and it is prohibited by this act. And this act till now is applicable only to certain communities like Hindus, Christians, etc. For some religions, because of personal laws, it is still not applicable. In India, if you are a Muslim, you can marry a girl if she is 15 years also. 15, 16 years girl can be married if she is a Muslim, legally married. This is acceptable. It is not a criminal act in India because of differences in personal laws. Laws are basically two types. If you take, let me explain. Laws are basically two types. One is civil laws, one is criminal laws. In India, laws for criminal activities, if someone steals or someone kills someone else, someone commits a murder or someone commits a rape, someone commits a theft, these are criminal activities. For criminal activities, all religions are treated equal. There is no differentiation when it comes to criminal activities, whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Hindu, whether you are a Christian. If you commit a crime, the punishment will be same. But it is not the case in India for the civil activities. If someone wants to marry, it is a civil activity. If someone wants to adopt, it is a civil activity. If someone wants to inherit their father or mother's property, it is a civil activity. Such kind of civil things are not regulated equally in India as of now, as of 2023. There is an article called Article 44 Uniform Civil Code in DPSP. In Constitution, there is an Article 44 Uniform Civil Code. If Uniform Civil Code is brought, civil code, that means a code for all civil activities. If Uniform Civil Code is brought for all communities in India, then same as criminal laws, civil laws are equal for all the communities. But Uniform Civil Code is not yet brought in India. It is not made a law. So till now, every religion is being directed by the personal laws of that particular religion. And that personal laws varies religion to religion. Some religion personal laws are codified by the laws. That means they were made official through official laws of the parliament, through laws passed by the parliament. They were made official. There are 4 Hindu code laws. They codify the Hindu traditional marriage system and everything. Hindu traditional laws were codified into 4 laws. There are laws for Parsis, there are laws for Christians, there are laws for Muslims also. But this properly does not codify as it did codify for Hindus. Just understand that civil laws are different for all religions in India. Especially for Muslims, it is vastly different from other communities. So as I said, because marriage is a civil aspect, a Muslim woman can marry someone even if she is 15 years old, but a Hindu woman cannot marry even if she is 17 years old. It is a flaw in our system. Still we are respecting the ancient traditions. Doctors are repeatedly warning, if you are below 18 years, it will be very unhealthy for your body. It is not suggestible for your body to get pregnant. So because of those reasons, this 18 years was made on scientific basis. But because of personal laws limitations, still this is not being applied to all the communities. Now there are 2 aspects government wants to do. Now government wants to amend this Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. Now government wants to amend the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. As I said, this Prohibition of Child Marriage Act treats 18 years as the difference between child and the adult. But again, as I said, it is not applicable equal to all religions. It is applicable to Hindus, Sikh, etc., but not Muslim because of differences in personal religion. Now government wants to make amendment to this Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. Now it wants to make marriage, age of marriage equal for all the religions. That means a part of Uniform Civil Code is being brought under this amendment. It wants to make age of marriage equal for all the communities. Whatever the religion, it wants to make the age of marriage equal. Also, it wants to increase this age of marriage for girls to 21, 18 to 21. Under this law, this Prevention of Child Marriage law, minimum age for marriage for men already is 21 years. In India, men cannot marry below 21 years. If a man of 20 years is get married, it is not valid usually. Even if it is valid, even it is allowed by the code, that man After becoming 21, will have 2 years to nullify. Before 2 years, he can say, I don't want this marriage, I didn't go this willingly. Similarly, if a woman before 18 years gets married by her parents, when she turns 18, she will have 2 years. That is up to 20 years of age, 2 years, 18 to 20. Within these 2 years, she can say, I didn't want to go into this marriage, my parents forcibly married me, so please nullify this marriage. She can ask. That marriage does not get immediately invalid unless she asks for it. He or he asks for it. So in India, it is already 21 years for men. Now government, apart from making equal age for all the communities, government wants to raise the minimum age for marriage for girls also from 18 to 21. That is this proposed amendment. It is not yet passed in parliament. It is still in Lok Sabha. Government introduced a bill, but it is not passed. It is sent to a committee. It is sent to a parliament panel to examine, to analyze it to analyze it very deeply. So this panel is studying. Now this panel got extension, some more time to study it. That's it. News is nothing much important, very simple news. This is the whole background of the issue. Now drones. See this news first. India wants to buy some drones from USA, and what is the name of the drones? MQ-9B. This particular news is not so much important, but for various reasons there are so many drones in news recently. There is an ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine for the past 2 years. Similarly, Israel and Hamas also are in war. For the past 1-2 years also, some drones from Israel are also in news. So there are many drones in news. So I have just designed an MCQ based on various drones that are in news. So just try this MCQ, pause the video and try it. I'm going to reveal the answer now. So Heron drones USA wrong. MQ-9B drones Israel wrong. As shown in this image, MQ-9B drones are from USA. So you just reverse these two. Heron drones are Israel ones. MQ-9B or Americans. Orient drones Russia, yes, right. So only one is right, rest two are wrong. I have just wanted to include this MCQ asked on drones in previous UPSC 2020. So UPSC has asked a question on drones. Just try it. It is a very simple question. So with the current level of technology, what can be done with the drones? So drones fly and take any samples or pictures or images for us. That is the basic purpose for drones. So spraying pesticides and crop field, yes. When you fly a drone, you can done that. Spraying on fields. Again, inspecting the craters of active volcano, because inside the volcanoes people cannot go, but drones can go. Collecting blood samples from spouting whales for DNA analysis. So humans cannot go near the whales. On top of the whales repeatedly they breathe using that sprout on the top of their head. So you can send a drone there and collect the sample. Yes, this is fine. All three you can do using drones. So answer is D, 1, 2 and 3. Large language models. There is a small news. Niti Aayog CEO has said that India is trying to implement large language models in Indian languages. It is a very small news, but you need to understand what are large language models. I hope you all must have heard about ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, one such large language model. So what is this large language model? Large language models are nothing but algorithms. They are artificial intelligence algorithms. You give them some input and then you tell them to do something. They will give you some result in your own language. Whatever the language you design them into, so they will give some input in your own language. So if you ask them, let's say if you go to ChatGPT and you ask ChatGPT, please design an essay, you give the topic, ChatGPT will give you the essay. So how does ChatGPT does this? When you ask it, ChatGPT to create an essay on a particular topic, ChatGPT analyze the internet. It takes a large data sets as inputs. So ChatGPT analyzes the internet. It understands what a human means by an essay. When a human asks essay, what does he means by it? So ChatGPT analyzes the data sets available to it. So it also analyzes the structure of the essay. So how to present, how to write introduction, how are the dimensions to be explored, how to conclude an essay. So based on the samples you give to it, based on the data set you give to it as an input, it analyzes it and it presents in the language you direct it. So these are the large language models. So large language models are deep algorithms that equip to summarize, translate, predict and generate text to convert ideas and concepts. You can do this sample experiment. You can go to ChatGPT and ask it to predict UPSC next year prelims paper. It does for you. It analyzes the previous paper and it does for you. It may be accurate or may not be accurate because it depends on the input and its own limitations, how much of a network it was, I mean how much advanced it was. But you can try this. You can ask it to create an essay paper of the next year. You can ask it to predict the essay paper of 2024. It predicts some paper, it may be accurate or may not, but you can do it. You can ask it to generate content. So that is what large language models are. So large language models utilize deep learning algorithms to recognize, interpret and genetic human sounding language. So ultimately to produce content in human sounding language. Developed by OpenAI, ChatGPT is one of the most recognizable large language model. Some of the ways in which large language models are used include content creation. As I said, you can use it to generate essays, images, videos, anything. Translation, simple, nothing like Google Translate, virtual chat and assistant applications, etc. So that is what large language models are. I hope you have understood it. So you see this particular image. So it takes some data sets as input. In this case, Wikipedia, he is giving an example. So this large language model taking some inputs produces some outputs, that question and answers or some kind of categorizations, whatever you ask it, it takes some input, analyzes it and generates as per the request. Next topic is minimum support prices. So minimum support prices related to agriculture GS3. So see, this is the news today. Just see the title. That particular news is not that much important. So what is the title? Center raises MSP for Rabi crops, farmers unhappy. So what is MSP? First of all, minimum support prices. So there are 3 agricultural seasons in India. 3 agricultural seasons: Kharif, Rabi, Zaid. So Kharif, Rabi, Zaid. There are 3 agricultural seasons in India per year. Every year there are 3 seasons which keep recurring, like summer, winter, like that. These are normal calendar seasons. Now these are agricultural seasons: Kharif, Zaid, Rabi, based on when farmers will start sowing the seeds and when farmers will harvest. So Kharif season is from June to September, October. Kharif is from June to September, October. They will sow seeds in June when our southwest monsoon starts, and they will harvest the plant in October when our monsoon ends. Rabi is the nothing but coincides with the winter. That means November to February. So Rabi are nothing but winter crops. Which crops you cultivate in winter? Zaid are nothing but a small season between Rabi and Kharif. So after February, before June, in March, April, May, in the short season, some cucumbers, etc. In Zaid season, they are cultivated. So 3 agricultural seasons. Now government announces something called MSP, minimum support prices, for some crops. There are 23 crops. You can just Google the list. You will read about in agricultural static part in GS3. So there are 23, 22 plus 1 sugarcane. So for 23 products, government announces something called minimum support price. This minimum support price for various seasons, before every season, before this June Kharif season, government will say, in upcoming season, I will give this much for rice if a farmer brings it to me. So when for a Kharif season, let's say government has announced 5,000 per quintal. Example I am saying, just for example, if government says, I will give 5,000 rupees per quintal of rice for Kharif season. So farmer will cultivate for the Kharif season. After 3-4 months, he will harvest the rice. He will get. Now he will take the rice to the market. If he gets less than 5,000, he will go to the government, and government, because issued minimum support price already, he will get this 5,000 for what, how many quintals he will bring. If he gets more than 5,000 in the market itself, he does not sell it to the government, he will sell in the market. So just to secure the minimum income to the farmer, government is assuring minimum income security to the farmer, minimum support prices. To support the farmer with minimum income, government announces this minimum support prices every agricultural season. So before this Rabi season, this second agricultural season for this year, government has announced some rates for the upcoming season. But farmers are unhappy with those rates because they are thinking they are very low. The rates government recommended are very low. So that is it for the enough with the news. Just understand how this MSP is determined in India. I have explained you what is MSP and why farmers are unhappy with the recent MSPs. So this keeps happening. One season they will be happy, one season they are not happy. So this is not a regular general news. This is a particular news, not important. How MSP is decided is important. So there is a commission called Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices, CACP, under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers. There is a Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Under this Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, there is a Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices. This CACP, Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices, analyzes, does some study and recommends some prices to the government, and government decides. The cabinet, there is a cabinet committee. You will read about cabinet committees in polity. So this Commission of Agricultural Costs and Prices studies and recommends some price, some minimum support price, and cabinet accepts it. Some particular cabinet committee will there, cabinet committee for economic affairs, I think, CECA. You will read about it in polity, do not worry. So this cabinet committee on economic affairs, CCEA, it will finally approve, it will officially approve the MSP, then MSP will be notified in government notification. So how this CACP will recommend, how they will arrive particular amount, whether it is 5,000 or 10,000, how they will arrive. So there are three methods through which you can arrive at the cost. First one is A2. There is no logic, just remember the names. What is A2? A2 is when you take all the costs of the inputs. So to cultivate a crop, you need water, that means irrigation, pumps, boring, etc., electricity, and then you need fertilizer, you have to buy seeds, you have to buy pesticide. So all of the input costs, combined together is A2. But it is not just that's the end, because after buying all the inputs, you have to work on your farm for 3 to 4 months to get a crop. You and all your family, whoever the laborers you hire, all of them will work on the land. So when you add your family labor to this input cost, A2 plus FL, A2 plus family labor, FL. So whatever the unpaid labor, because when your own family work on your own land, no one will pay you. If you work on some other people land, they will pay you. But when you work on your own land, no one is paying you. So A2 plus FL is another method. Just considering inputs is A2. When you add family labor also, it is another method, A2 plus FL. And another one, if you add this interest, usually farmers will take loans from the banks. Before buying seeds and everything, they will take loan from banks or money lenders, etc. So when you take a loan, you have to pay interest. So apart from this A2 plus FL, plain input costs and family labor, there will be some other invisible costs also, like interest. And you are also using your land for agriculture. But if you give that land for some other purpose, some other lease or etc., you must have gotten some other revenue. So technically you are also losing that revenue, that land. If you had given it for some other purpose or to some other person, you must have gotten some rent on that. But because you are cultivating yourself, you are also letting go of that rent. So considering such invisible costs like rent and interest, if you add that to this A2 plus FL, it is called C2. So don't try to understand the logics behind them. It is called A2. It is called A2. What is A2? Simply inputs. What is A2 plus FL? Add family labor to the inputs. What's C2? A2 plus FL plus these invisible costs of interest and rent, etc. So based on three methods, this committee will decide on one thing. usually it is this 2. It recommends this 2, A2 plus FL. It does not recommend C2 cos or A2 cos. It recommends A2 plus FL. So government decides on that cost. So that is how MSP in India works. So this is our last topic for today, appointment of judges. So government has notified that some judges are appointed in some high courts. 17 judges are appointed in some high courts. Recently, Supreme Court has criticized the government for delaying this appointment. Supreme Court is saying because of your delay, judicial strength is getting decreased and cases are getting piled up. So government took some action by appointing some judges immediately. So how are judges appointed? Again, this particular news is too factual. So particular news are not important. Every time we have to see the theme, the issue, the general news behind every news, the general theme behind every news. So here the general theme is appointment of judges. So government has notified appointment. How does this appointment carried out in India? So there are two articles, Article 124 and 217. Article 124 talks about appointments of judges in Supreme Court. Article 217 talks about appointment of judges in High Court. And there is another article, Article 222, it talks about transfer of judges in High Court from one High Court to another one. So all these three articles talks like this. Let's say Article 124. Article 124 says a person can be appointed as judge to the Supreme Court by the President on consultation with CJI. So President has to consult with the Chief Justice of India and appoint this particular person as a Supreme Court judge. Now, till some years after independence, this constitutional provision was not a confused one. Everyone has understood it. There was no conflict between President, that means Council of Ministers, and the judges. But slowly, the word consultation got subjected to debate. Some people are saying this word of consultation means President has to take the approval from CJI. That means whatever CJI tells him, President has to listen it. President has no choice. When I say President, constitutionally, I mean Council of Ministers. So, President has to concur with the CJI. President cannot change the decision of CJI. That is one argument. Another argument is that CJI can recommend, but it is not binding on the President. President can reject the CJI's advice. So, there are two opinions. So, there is a lot of debate. So, slowly this debate got settled. So, there are some cases, it is called first judges, second judges, third judges case. There is also another fourth judges case also. You will read about all of this in Polity GS2. So, just because this is a prelims video, I am not elaborating much further. Understand that this debate, the meaning of this word consultation is continuously debated and it went to Supreme Court 4 times. 4 times. In second time, when it went to Supreme Court second time, it is called second judges case. So there are 4 judges cases. In second judges case in 1993, Supreme Court has said, no, this word concurrence means, this word consultation means President has to listen to the CJI. So CJI will recommend some name to the President and President has no choice but to accept it. So Court has made some minor modifications to this interpretation. This much power in the hand of one person called CJI is too much. So in second judge's case, Supreme Court has said that instead of CJI, understand something called collegium system. So what is collegium? Collegium is nothing but a forum of judges. It is a group of judges. So court said there will be something called collegium. Whatever the constitution calls CJI, it refers to collegium, and this collegium is CJI plus 2 other judges. Why 2 other judges? Because it is too much power in one judge's hand. So wherever it said President has to consult the CJI, please read it as President has to consult the collegium. It is not in the constitution. Supreme Court is interpreting it in that way. So in second judge's case, Supreme Court has devised a new system called collegium. In this collegium, Chief Justice of India and 2 senior judges will sit at one place and they will decide who will get appointed to the Supreme Court, who will get appointed to the High Court, and who will get transferred from one High Court to High Court. So this collegium system decides appointments and transfers in India even today. One minor modification is that in third judge's case, when this case again went to Supreme Court for the third time, Supreme Court has stated that even CJI plus 2, it is a small group, let's make it a bigger group. So Chief Justice of India plus 4 other judges, this time 4 other judges. So CJI plus 4. Now in the present India in 2023, how transfers or appointments are being made? They are made by a system called collegium. So this collegium is nothing but CJA plus 4 senior judges of the Supreme Court. So this is called collegium, and these 5 people sit together and they decide who will get appointed, who will get transferred. They will send names to the president. Those names will go through Ministry of Law and Justice, Intelligence Bureau, and through the Council of Ministers. So whatever is happening in the middle between president and this collegium is a mere formality. So if something comes adversely in Intelligence Bureau analysis or background check or something, government may send the name back. If government does not like it, government sometimes sends the names back to the collegium saying, please, I don't want to appoint this person as the judge. But if collegium sends it back again, second time, government has to accept it, government has no choice. So now collegium system has sent some names to the government and government notified them. So collegium has given a list. Out of that list, government has appointed 17 judges. The list might have been 20 or 30 larger. Among the list, center has notified appointment of 17 judges. So that is how appointments and transfers in India work. So that is it for today. Thank you. Please keep following us. Please do watch our editorial video. It is already uploaded on our channel. Thank you.